No worries. Turn my volume up.
Oh my gosh.
No worries.
Oh, I don't know what happened there. I was trying to get the volume up and it just.
Oh,
Sorry, but yes.
the joys of technology.
Honestly, so sorry. But yes, please continue. Please continue.
Yes, so I was talking about the process. So first of all, being really clear on what you truly want is key. I believe that's the foundation. Otherwise, there's no point in, taking further action. Then really making sure the vision is laid out. So the goal setting is done from quite early on into that process, and really understanding environments of these ladies, these environments in terms of like mentally, what is happening in terms of their mindsets, environment in terms of lifestyle and routine. And then I'm sure we'll touch on this a bit later. Self-care is key. Like, yes, it's about getting results. Yes, it's about taking action, but you cannot pour from an empty cup. So really making sure that, these ladies are taking care of them. And then we look at the financial side of things, so financial planning, money mindsets, increasing their finances. So that's kind of the trajectory of this program in particular. Yeah.
Oh, that's a lot. And I don't know. I was thinking when I hear goal setting coach, I'm literally just thinking, okay, you help them meet their goals, but you've broken it down to a point where it's not just even about the goals. It's like before you even get to the meeting the goals, there's more that you have to actually work on.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's interesting. That's opening up my eyes because when I hear goal setting, I'm thinking, okay, you're just literally there with them.
Yeah.
6 months, you help them set the goals, and then okay, interesting.
Yeah. So no, there's that's just a piece of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot more tied, especially because the ladies that I work with do want to increase their income as well. That's quite important. So making sure that they're also confident and taking the steps that they need to do that.
Next question.
Yes.
How to link mental health and personal development together when you're working to meet goals?
Yeah, so sort of what I touched on in terms of, being very clear on what you want is key. Then having the vision to support that is almost like step 2. Step 3 is the environment side of things. And that first starts with your mind, because what you are feeding your mind with, what's happening in your mind, those thoughts, those limiting beliefs, it will affect how you live, let alone achieving your goals.
Yeah.
So that's number 1. And number 2, I mentioned, taking care of you is a major key, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. That's why, yes, it's great to take those actions, but I was speaking about it earlier as well, celebrating your wins. You are putting in the work. You need to take care of yourself too, because it's about, again, back to leveling up. It's about going higher. It's about moving forward. It's about growing. It's about developing. And part of that is showing up as your best self. And if you are just not well enough, whether that's mentally, physically, emotionally, it's gonna show, it's gonna affect your day-to-day life. So, as I mentioned, you were talking about the fact that you thought goal setting was just going through the goals, but it begins with you as a person. And if we just put the goals aside, you matter. Like, you are important. You need to take care of yourself in every way before we even get to that. So having self-care, having a well-being plan, taking care of yourself on a regular is key to ultimately living that life that you desire, because you're the one doing the work. You're the one putting in, giving out, and like I said, you can't pour from an empty cup. So it's definitely key, and they can't be considered as 2 separate things, because we are just one person. We can't just break break us up into pieces.
Yeah.
We are we have to look at these stuff holistically.
Yeah. Hmm. Love that. And so it just comes down to this point again of the realization that everything that you do has a root in your thoughts, or your thoughts have a root in everything that you do. So when you're able to tackle how you think and how you act, then we can kind of move on, very summarized and very to the point, but then we can move on to kind of like the goals aspect. So you work with the women as they are first, and then you branch into working on the goals and getting the results. I love that. So it's kind of like, it's not one shoe fits all.
No.
Obviously, yeah. It's not one shoe.
Yeah, like the way I work and the framework that I use, you know, is repeatable, but it works for everyone and anyone. Appreciating that we are all different.
I love that. I love that. So the next one, how do you link mental health and personal development together when working with goals?
Yes. So I mentioned once where you're clear on your goals, once, in terms of how I work, once you're clear on what you truly want, you have that vision. We've now set out the goals, you've broken them down, you're very clear. That's just a roadmap, if you like. It's like you saying, I want to go to McDonald's for dinner tonight. You will open Waze, you'll open Google Map, then you will, put in McDonald's, but you're still going to have to get in the car. The car's going to have to take you there. If that car don't have petrol, if that car doesn't work, you're not going to be able to get the McDonald's. So yes, you know that you want McDonald's for dinner.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm using all these unhealthy, but we'll stick with McDonald's because everyone knows McDonald's. Yes, you know what you want. You know that you want McDonald's for dinner. You know how you're even going to get there. You've got an app that works well. You've got Google Maps. You've got Waze. Now, think about your car as that thing that's going to keep you going. That is you. That is your mindset. That is your lifestyle. That is your routine. That is the balance that you incorporate as part of your routine. That is your self-care. And that's what I work with my ladies on, to make sure that they have the right environment and the right support that's going to keep them there. And let's just say, you're getting in your car is mashed up, your car, the engine doesn't work, there's no petrol. Like, forget your destination, forget the fact that you're hungry, forget the fact that you want McDonald's. The environment, the vehicle that's going to get you there, which is yourself,
yeah,
needs to be taken care of. And we can't assume that, okay, yeah, I have this goal and I'm just going to go for it. No, you have to, yes, you're going to go for it, but you're going to go for it by taking care of yourself, by pouring into yourself on a regular. So understanding the routine of the ladies I work with is really key, to make sure that they have a routine that supports them in terms of balance. And I know a lot of people, throw around the term balanced lifestyle, balance this, and it can mean something different. Like, balance to me can be different to you. I know what I need to function. So I, for example, am not someone that I can put my head down, I can be productive, but I'm not someone that can work late. I just can't do it. So balance for me is not working late, doing night owl, working. That's just not my thing. Like, it means I'm going to have to switch off at a certain time and I'm going to have to unwind. I need that to balance. Someone else, maybe that they have a slow morning, and that's how they incorporate, balance to support their mental well-being. So really understanding what you need to pour into your cup is key, so that you're doing that on a regular basis whilst taking the steps, whilst taking the actions on your personal development journey is a major key for you, your mental well-being, but also your development.
I love that. So what's the latest time that you've worked until?
Do you know, I don't really work late. So with my calls, so some client calls I have in the afternoon, which is my preference. But of course, people work, right? So that's not always possible. But the latest call I will take usually is like 7 1:30 if needed. But that's not even every day. And that's not me working like 9 till 8. If I know that I've got a late call, then like today I think I wrapped up stuff around 2 and then done stuff again around 6 because I knew that I was going to be like seeing my clients. So yeah, I'm not someone that, and I am quite organized. So I should never need to work late because I just try to manage my time in a way that works for me. Like, of course, life happens. But yeah, I don't really do well with working late. I'm just tired.
I see. Okay. So, last question. How do you tailor your approach to goal setting to accommodate individual differences in personality and motivation? I think you've touched on that one again.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to touch on it a bit further.
Yeah, so really it's about the work that we do at the beginning, like understanding what someone truly wants, understanding their values, because that's going to inform everything else. So it's in understanding the person, understanding where they're at, what they need to get them there. It will always be, for example, we can have a look at someone's routine and everyone's routine will be different. We all have different lifestyle, but we all have a lifestyle. So really it's in understanding the person, what it is that they truly want and what is happening for them. And that's informs sort of the next step. So everything that I do is very much focused on individual need, the individual support required, and that does vary. But really, I think getting really clear does help. Because everyone is different. Everyone may have like the same destination. Like I've worked with loads of women, usually on the same sort of topics: confidence, financial growth, career development. But all these ladies are different. None of them are the same. So, yeah.
Oh, those answers were so. I hope you can all hear me because at this point, I'm just gonna have to come close. But your answers have been so insightful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The ones that stood out to me was when you're talking about the mindset and then, having like a structure to how you work with your clients, and everything really comes from the mindset. If you think about it, like I was sharing today that everything starts with a thought, and that's the root. So when you're able to assess the root of something, it's easier to process it and then work with it. And I love how you broke down how you work with your clients, because it's very easy to assume that when you want to meet a goal, you just need to write down A, B, and C and meet it. But there's so many things that you can unravel with it in terms of your mind, in terms of your speech, in terms of preparation and all of that. So obviously knowing that it's not one shoe fits all of your client, your client is different. I find that it's very interesting what you do, because we kind of all need that goal setting coach, because if you think about it, it's one thing to have a big goal. Yeah, you can even go as far as breaking it down 3 months, 6 months. But there's just this thing with actually starting.
100%.
Like, okay, it's one thing to write it down on paper, but actually make the move from procrastination. Am I good enough? Will I meet it? And so that's why I asked at the beginning that when it comes to one goal, that you could, we all have limitations to some degree of things that come our way when we want to meet a goal. Plus of you having it in your mind and putting it on paper, there's always going to happen. So yeah, your answers have been so insightful, and for me personally, it's just about I'm laughing because I know I need to work on it. It's just about the simplest way to say it is just working on my procrastination. Because I can go as far as having the goal, that's one. Breaking it down, doing the research, but I find that when it comes to certain things, it's not like a standard approach or step 1, step 2. you're on step one longer than you want to be, or you're on
Mm.
step two and you're like, no, I have to go back to step one. So is it right in saying that it's not linear? Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%.
Mm.
100%. And I think so, and when you are I think one of the first questions you asked me was, what one thing would I say to someone who wants to set a goal? And I said, go for it.
Yeah.
Going for it doesn't mean that you take action, everything's going to work. It's okay for even things not to work. I think as we think that everything needs to be perfect, and we've grown up in a way that, yeah, you have to do your exam, get a star, and then you do the next one, you get another. Like, the main thing is taking the action, even in the mistakes. It's a learning curve. And one thing that has helped me is literally act fast, fail fast. It's okay. Like, if I don't get the result, that's all right. I've taken action, and it's not going to be that deep. Do you get what I mean? I think we're very much afraid of the fear of failure, that we don't take action. But actually, when you get okay we've just taken action, even if it doesn't work, you'll be surprised. And the things that seemed like a big deal, not to say it will be perfect, but it's not that deep, because you have learned that action is the answer, not perfection, because we're not living in a perfect world. Jesus has not returned yet.
That's it. And again, it's sometimes, well, sometimes anyway, but most of the time as well, it's wanting to meet a goal and thinking that everything should be in order with
Yeah.
you wanting to meet it. So it's like there's going to be no obstacles, there's going to be no setbacks, there's
Yeah.
going to be, as far as you're concerned, or I'm concerned, if you want to meet a goal, why shouldn't it be smooth sailing? Because you put
Yeah.
that you want to meet it by
Mm-hmm.
such and such time. But also, I think I want to speak to those who kind of feel discouraged when they have not met a goal. Right?
Yeah.
There's a mindset shift that happens where it's like, okay, so if I've not met the goal by, let's say, June, does that mean I'm not supposed to meet it? Or do I try?
Yeah.
There's that fear again of trying but then failing again.
Yeah.
Trying and succeeding. Or maybe that was time to meet it. So can you speak on those who, I want to say, have failed or have not met
Mm-hmm.
lines, and they don't know if they should continue with that goal or should
Yeah.
again, with all those thoughts playing through your mind? How
Yeah.
not like that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. And I think one thing I want to say, like, just based on what you were saying before I touch on that point, is that even when I say go for it, yeah, I talk about, taking action, failing fast. Like, you don't have to do it all alone. Like, this is what therapists are here for. This is what coaches are here for. I'm a coach. I have two coaches because I know that there's things I need to do, and I need to be kept accountable. Like, I could probably do everything that I'm doing on my own, but it will take me a lot longer, and I'm not doing it for speed. I'm doing it because I don't want to waste time. And if I can get support and can be able to direct me, even if I fail, and I can quickly go to someone and be like, do you know what, this happened? They're like, yeah, then I can keep it moving. But I think, of course, if you're alone and you're trying to do this thing by yourself, and a whole 6 months has gone, and it's now June, and you haven't achieved, of course you're going to be discouraged. Of course you are, because it's just been you, yourself, and I. But to answer your question, and I literally was just a few hours ago, I was sharing in my story, because yesterday I did ask everyone, I was like, how are your 2024 goals going? And a lot of people said, I feel like I still got a lot of work to do. And what I was saying to that point is that that's okay. That is absolutely fine. It's easy to get to where we are now, and it's a lovely time to have this conversation because we are halfway through the year, right? And perhaps in January you set those goals, maybe you was already thinking about it in December. And a lot of the times our goals are not stuff that just fall from the sky. They've been deep-seated things in our hearts that maybe actually we've been wanting to do for more than a year. So perhaps this thing that you're even saying that you're going to do this year didn't even come to mind this year. Perhaps you was thinking about it last year, possibly the year before. But the reality is that there is still time. There's always time. And I feel that when you are in a place where you're starting to feel discouraged, like we're humans, right? We will always have a moment of feeling discouraged. We cannot escape it. Like I said, life is not perfect. We're not living in a perfect world. Things will happen. Life will happen. So acknowledging that, acknowledging those feelings, but what are you going to do from then? Like, it's June. Maybe you haven't achieved all your goals, but does that now mean that you quit and you say, oh, for the next 6 months, I'm just not going to. The reality is you have a whole 6 months. You can decide that your life can literally change in 6 months' time. And that is on you to make those daily commitments. And a big reason why people may be feeling like, do you know what, it's June and I haven't achieved much is one, comparison. Like maybe you're seeing other people do the things that you said you were going to do and all they did was took action, and you're like, oh man, I haven't done it, so maybe that's not the time. No, that doesn't mean it's not the time. If that was your vision, if that's what was in your heart, then you can still go for it. And the reality is that you do have 6 months. But another thing that's important to do is review, check yourself on a regular basis. That's not just your goals, that's checking in on yourself emotionally. Like, am I okay? Do I need a rest? And we're at June, and probably a lot of people could be feeling burnt out right now because they've been trying to put in work. But if you check yourself and you get into that habit of checking yourself, you might realize, you know what, I need a break. And that's okay. That's okay to take time out, to have a pause. We're not saying stop and come back to it, but you can still change things daily. It's about making those daily commitments, because the truth is we still have another half of the year to go, and that is still enough time to literally change your life. I've seen it working with women like in 4 months, and things have shifted for them. Like, we still have a good 6 months left, and with committing to yourself, taking daily action, taking daily commitments, you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve.
And another thing as well is, as you're talking, in this whole thing about process, like we're in a generation where everyone just wants things quick, and they don't want to
Definitely.
go through the process of actually having to put in the work.
100%.
And so as I was listening to what you were saying, it just reminded me of some thoughts that I was sharing before about how important the process is, and you said it. But someone was saying recently, I think I was watching something or a discussion, that in your waiting season, I don't remember who said it, you'll thrive and celebrate in it. It's not that you're just sitting down still and
100%.
you know, so it's like when you kind of have your mindset shifted and you mind what you say and you're very careful of what you take in, when you do come to maybe going to the goal setting coach and making your goals, you've already the work, but then that's all process.
100%.
So like, it's funny how I share this as well. It's funny how we can make a meal that can take long.
I saw that.
But then when you finally get down to eating it, the numbers don't match. It's like literally you prepare it, less than 5 minutes to eat it.
It's gone.
You know, so if you kind of think about it, we are kind of living in process daily.
100%.
In ways. But when it comes to what we want to work on, when it comes to anything to do with self, I find that there's a disconnect with process. It's like, if I want to set this goal in January, this goal has to be fruition by such and such time. But I find that even in you setting your goals and wanting to meet them, there is still work on your part. That
100%.
You know, it's not like I'll set a goal and then it's just gonna fall on my lap. I love all that you're saying, because all that you're saying kind of defeats the purpose of this mindset that we have in this generation, that you don't need the process. If that makes sense, what I just said.
Definitely. And it's unhealthy because with everything you need to maintain and sustain. Like, you asked me, what does personal development mean. And that's
Yeah.
what does personal development mean for you? And I spoke about leading yourself in the best way possible, stewarding yourself in the best way. Like, if you do not know how to steward whatever you have, it's gonna disappear in a flash. So the process is key. Just like we wouldn't go to a restaurant and, you know, eat food that they've just cooked in 1 second, how much more your own life. But yeah, I guess we are living in that microwave generation, but it's definitely all a process.
It is. And another thing as well is, like, I'm currently in the book of James at the moment. I find that when it comes to building endurance, when it comes to trials, we are quick to run away. But what the world will say and what God will say that consider it all joy when you go through tests and trials. Now, if you're looking at that with the human mind, you're thinking, how can I consider it joy?
100%.
The same way with meeting your goals. How can you consider it joy when it's not working out?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
When you sit down and you realize it, can you always learn and be built up if you're always going through good times? Like, with the good times, you're enjoying, the goals are being met, everything is good, but you don't really learn, you don't really grow, you don't really go through.
100%.
You know, so it's like when you sit down and you realize it, a lot of the people who come out on the other side will say, I went through A, B, and C. Now, they may not look like what they went through.
100%.
And they share their story with you. You realize that you really can't rush the process. And even when you do rush it, you come out half-baked. And you find that everything that you do from that half-baked way, it doesn't bear forth fruit because you've rushed the process.
100%.
For me, as I'm listening to you, it's just a reminder that with the process, no matter how hard you try and rush it or come out prematurely or whatever, you will need to go through it. And the way that is, if you don't learn it, you're gonna learn it. Like,
you learn it
by force.
100%.
You know,
100%. And I feel like the process builds character, you know, and that's more important than the results and, you know, the fruit of the action. And you mentioned James, and I was, well, I've been reading Daniel, and I was blown away because in church they mentioned it as well. And I never knew that the scripture, those that know their God shall be strong and do exploits, was in Daniel. And when they were reading it, it was in Daniel 12. Now, I've only got to Daniel 5. And so far, he's been put in the burning furnace and he's been in the lion's den. And then he later said, those that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. It's not that he was doing bits from before and he's like, yeah, just making noise. This was a man who was in a burning, and they even turned up the heating of that thing. And then a den of, and then he said, those that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. So the process is key to our growth, because you don't just be able to do exploits. There's a process. And like you said, everyone that has been successful in any case, the reason why we look up to them is because they have been through a process, and we're all going to have our own, but naturally we don't anticipate them. Like, we can't anticipate it. So it's like, when our expectations are not met, we're disappointed, and we now think that means that, you know, things have gone wrong. But all it is just a process that we're going through that we didn't anticipate. Literally. So yeah.
We've just gone to church and back. And
it's gone to church.
Yes. Oh, I love that. So, with all that you said, if you had to pick one piece of encouragement to leave the viewers with, what would you say?
Yes, I would say, first of all, you are an important, special individual. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. Like, you are here and you are meant to be here. And I do believe everyone has deep-seated desires, deep-seated dreams. And sometimes, like, they know it and they've never shared it. And just because you've never shared it with anyone, it doesn't mean that it's not a deep-seated desire. It's not a deep-seated dream. and you can do anything that you want to do, and it will come down to taking action. That doesn't mean that things have to be perfect. That doesn't mean maybe in taking the first step you're going to see like results.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I never forget lockdown. I was like, I used to go to the gym, so I was like, I'm going to still work out. I was doing like 5K runs every day. I would go on the scale and not see anything shift. And it's just like, I know I'm putting in work here. I'm not seeing a shift. And sometimes we have that expectation. We have that expectation to see things at a certain point, to be at a certain position by a certain age and all of these things. But the main thing is that you are taking the steps, you are taking action, and you don't have to do it alone. Like, I'm not about this quick get rich quick fix, microwave, you can get results in a day. But one thing I do know as a coach who has coaches, that when you have accountability, when you have support, you do get results faster. It's just inevitable. So if you are feeling stuck, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like, there's so much that I've been wanting to do, like it's showing and it's saying to me, you probably need to switch up your environment. You probably need to find support. You probably need a community that is going to keep you accountable, that is going to be able to pour into you, that wants to see you win. So yeah, go for it, is what I would say.
I love that. A lot of what you said just now was accountability. So can you touch on that in terms of, because when you hear accountability, it's okay, maybe therapists, coaches, friends and family. Well, can you just go a bit deeper with why it is so important to have accountability?
Yeah, so why I would say it's important is because, especially if you're working on something, you have a goal, sharing that with someone that generally, is supporting you, advocating for you, is naturally, it's gonna keep you accountable. It's gonna add an extra sense of, I need to do this. This is not, I'm just gonna do it when I want to. Like, that there's someone that is looking to you to also produce the results naturally. Just that, like, those unconscious thoughts happening, it's just going to mean that you will take the action that you need to take. But also, when you are in an environment with other people who are on the same journey as you, is beautiful as well. And that's why, as a coach, I do seek coaching as well. I seek coaching, and I love specifically group coaching, because you're with people that also want to win. You're with people that sometimes the struggle is real. They're like, what, this week I didn't do much. And just seeing that and hearing that just goes to show that it's okay. But then other times you're seeing people win, you're hearing them get results, and that's like a motivator to keep you going. So, and living that way and having those environments go a long way, because life happens. Life does happen. There'll be times when you just don't want to, or you just don't feel as great as usual. But knowing that you have somewhere to go, you have an environment that is going to say, do you know what, you can do it, keep going, will go a long way. So yeah, accountability does for sure help. It helps you get the job done, and means that you will get it done quicker, not because you're impatient and you're going around the corner and beating around the bush. No, it's because you're taking the actions that you would have not taken if you were just doing it you by yourself. So accountability in 6 months will get you further than no accountability in 6 months, just because you're constantly taking the actions that you need to take.
Thank you so much. So the last one is, if you would leave the viewers with 5 top tips or tools in terms of all that we've discussed, what would you say?
So one thing I would say is, number one, get really clear on what you truly want. Like, forget what other people are doing, forget what people are telling you to do. What do you truly want? Number 2, Number one. Number two, I would say go for it. Take action. And taking action, the third thing, doesn't mean perfection, but action plus action will equate to results. The fourth thing, which we haven't really touched on today, I would say is believe in you, especially your source. We are all different. We all have qualities, gifts, and talent that are unique and make us who we are. Like, trust in that and really stand firm in that, because that's going to make you who you are. And that's what the world needs, the real you. And finally, celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins. Like, don't wait to finish that big project. You take one action, celebrate it. You take another one, celebrate it. Like, it's just going to be a more pleasant journey, and it's going to keep you motivated as well. And that's a way to hold yourself accountable, because you're saying, okay, when I've done this thing, I'm also going to reward myself, and make sure you actually do it. So yeah, those are the 5 things I would say.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So embrace and celebrate your whys, your wins, your authenticity. Basically. Okay, so Lakeisha, thank you
Thank
so much.
you. You've had a lovely evening.
Thank you so much. So how can they contact you? How can they find you? Where can they find you? If they want you.
Yeah, so if you are watching this back, then you can find me at Within Her Coaching on Instagram. Feel free to drop me a DM. Yeah, my doors are always open. Very, very present on Instagram. So yeah, you can find me there.
But once again, thank you so much. Is there any last thing you want to leave them with? But in the I just have to say thank you again. Thank you for your time, your yes.
No worries. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. All I want to say, we are in June now. Like, you have 6 months to make the daily commitments to yourself that you deserve. Because ultimately, this is about you. This is about you. It's your choice. And if you want to be at the end of the year and seeing a shift, it's still possible. We have 6 months to go. So yeah, commit to yourself to work towards building the life that you know you deserve and you know you want. And that's all from me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'll be in touch. Thank you for your time.
Yes, no worries.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And it's been lovely having this conversation. To those of you who have been watching, thank you for staying with us. If you're watching this back, hey, good to see you. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for your yes. And yeah, until next time, thank you for watching or from wherever you are. Lakeisha, thank you so much once again. I don't take it lightly. Thank you for your time. And
You're
yeah,
welcome.
bye.
See you. Bye.